What's up, everybody?
What's going on?
This is John from Yellow Brick Card Club.
This is Kingdome from Yellow Brick
And this
Card
is
Club.
Pierce from Pierce Breaks.
What is up, Pierce? Nice to talk to you outside of a hostile break battle.
Yeah. Gets very
Hostile
heated over there.
We're so intense dudes.
Exactly.
I have to ask you, Pierce. Today is day one of the 2024 playoffs, and as a Diamondbacks fan, I understand how are you feeling right now?
Aside from depressed, I mean, it's baseball playoffs are always an exciting time, regardless of how crushingly horribly the season ended. But I'm not like there are people that are like, oh, they shouldn't have had the doubleheader or whatever. Like, obviously, the Mets did not care to win the second game, but the D-backs very easily could have taken themselves out of that position by winning one more game at any point.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they did it to themselves, unfortunately. But there was still a lot of exciting baseball today.
Oh, definitely. A couple sweaty ones. Um, watching that Astros Tigers game very closely. It's our hated enemies as a Mariners
Mm-hmm.
fan, but happy with that one.
Definitely.
Scooble getting it done.
Yeah, he was dealing.
Man, that guy has won the Triple Crown, right? Pitching Triple Crown for the AL. He's definitely a Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah. I know that Sale won. I didn't see if Scooble did. But
I don't know if they've done the awards yet, but it's pretty obvious. Chris Sale, though, I mean, wow. Who would have thought?
yeah, Chris Sale in 2024.
Yeah, dude, like his arm, like he's been out for like what 3 or 4 years, seems like.
Yeah, I 100% thought he was toast. So it was cool to see.
That's a Disney movie.
Very inspirational. But it's good to see him back. I mean, when he was with the White Sox, man, he was untouchable completely.
Yeah, exactly. Almost brought to his knees by Drake LaRoche.
God forbid. So, how did the Diamondbacks do it this year? I didn't really I don't really follow the NL that much. Were they kind of plodding along all year, or did they like kind of have a big up and down, or how did they end up in this predicament where they were waiting on someone to throw a doubleheader so they wouldn't make it into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, there's like the long story and the short story, and the long story is that they were very up and down. They started off very slowly. Notably, Corbin Carroll was slumping like the first half of the season up until the All-Star break. Eugenio Suarez was not performing well in the beginning. Like, a small tangent, a lot of our fans were like calling for him to be DFA'd, and I was just like, what are we doing here? It's been like 2 months. Like, give this guy some time to find his groove. Like, he's gonna get it. And he ended the season with 30 homers. Like, and everybody loves him. Like, it's just some fans are just so impatient with their teams. But on the other side of that coin, thought the same thing about Paul Sewald, and he just never really got his groove back. So there were a bunch of losses early in the season that were like he blew like 5 saves in the span of like a month, pretty early on, and that killed us. So basically, I mean, the offense was hot. I mean, I think they might have had the most runs in the league.
Wow.
And their run differential was like plus 99 or something. But part of that was they were having these blowout wins where they were winning like by double digits, and then they would have these close losses where they would put up nothing. So it was very feast or famine. And the short story is at the end of the season, they had a series against the Brewers, and they were killing them. And then the last game, they go up 8-0, and then they blow an 8-run lead in the second half of the game and lose that one. And then they just came out so limp against the Giants and the Padres. Like, the Padres were doing the same thing as the Mets were in game 2, where they weren't fielding like all their best players. They were giving their guys rest because they had already clinched, and it was still the D-backs couldn't score any runs. So it was very sad, but overall, it is a 5-win improvement on their team last season. 89 wins. You expect to make the playoffs, and just a lot of good teams this year. So
Right.
It wasn't enough.
Yeah, almost made it, but yeah. So, man, I kind of feel the same way because that's almost how the Mariners ended up.
Yeah.
We weren't down to the last game. I think we were last year, but this was like the second to last game or third to last game. And yeah, so we had a little to play for at the end, but it was pretty out of our hands for after a while.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, as a fellow Mariners fan, how are you feeling right now?
That is exactly what I was going to ask you, because we are well versed in the pick a horse for the October ride, and it's usually not our own horse. And I don't know what happened this year, because I was livid in September and early September. And then I guess I resigned myself to the inevitable. And I'm already like, because I've got the disease, right? So I'm already like optimistic of what this offense could look like next year if this happens and if that happens. So for some reason, I'm not as distraught as I thought it would be. I'm a little frustrated that we managed to sweep aside the A's, and even though we were eliminated 3 or 4 days before the end of the season, in the standings, it's one game
Right.
when it's all said and done. One game, which we can all think of many times when we could have
Definitely.
made that
Yeah,
game up.
same situation. There were, I think we blew a 7-run lead at one point.
Hmm.
If we would have won that game, it would have been a lot easier, less pressure. We were up 10 games, I think, in the AL West in
Jeez.
June at our peak.
Yeah.
And then completely blew it away, lost it. Astros caught fire. They weren't playing very well at all. I think they were almost last place. So we were reveling in it for a while, but man, that turned around really fast. So I think for me, after seeing them blow that lead, for me, it was like, wow, we have, a big lead in the AL West. This hasn't happened in so long. Like, it doesn't happen to the Mariners. If they are in first place, it's never by that much.
Mm-hmm.
And feeling really good, and then just watching them blow the whole thing just like took the air out of all of it, and watching the whole team struggle at the plate, it just made it a lot more difficult to watch. And then by the time they turned it around, they fired their manager, brought Dan Wilson in and Edgar Martinez, and whatever they did to change the hitting really worked. It was too late, but at that point, it was kind of like, you know what? If anything we do at this point is a bonus, because we don't really deserve to be there at all. if we drop it that fast, they're not going to last in the playoffs anyway. So,
Yeah.
So at the end, I was kind of like, resolved to watch it go away, and it's the inevitable Astros run is really what took us out because every time we'd win, they would win, and we could never make up any ground. And just a lot of good teams in the playoffs now that we couldn't catch. So
that was like the most frustrating part of August. It was like the D-backs had like a historic August. They were like 22-6. And the Padres were like 21-7. So it was just like we literally could not win without the other team winning, and like they would lose and then we would lose. And so it was just like neck and neck. And then of course the Dodgers were still above us the entire time. So
John, I have a
Go
question
ahead.
for you.
Shoot.
Who do you think hired Dan Wilson?
That's a tough one. I tried to figure that out. I just did some reading about it, and he's been close to the team, I guess. The players know him. The office knows him.
Yep.
I think management really just wanted to get rid of the folks who weren't, taking accountability for how poor the hitting was. and universally poor. I mean, there was, besides the guy we brought in at the trade deadline, everyone on the roster was hitting worse than they were last year. Maybe Cal Raleigh was on par, but for the most part, it was really disappointing. And I think they really just wanted to get rid of those guys, definitely not working out, and bring in some people who the players know, respect, people who the team respects already, baseball players who can inspire other baseball players. Just kind of like an old school mentality of like what a manager should be, And I didn't expect it to go that well. I'm really surprised they turned it around. Seems like we were scoring 5-6 runs a game, just like over and over after they came, like right after they came in. So um, I wasn't going to believe that it would be as simple as that, but it turned out that it may have been. We'll see. But
Yeah, I felt like it was going to be the 95 reunion tour again, and I'm so burned out on that. It was a great year, but we've had to relive those memories too many times because we didn't have new ones created. And I love Dan Wilson and Edgar Martinez, my namesake on the Discord and elsewhere. My favorite player of all time. And he'd already kind of done the hitting coach thing, so we knew he had some chops. But I was a little worried that it was ownership pandering to 95 bandwagoners. But like you said,
yeah, I mean, I wasn't
maybe
really
it worked.
familiar with Dan outside of when he was playing, like what his role with the team had been. Wasn't really on TV or radio. Never really heard him say anything. Like, why is he coming in? I think I had the same questions as you at the beginning, but finding out that it was a baseball move too, and they didn't play it up. Like they didn't come back and say, oh, these guys are coming back from the '95 team and they're gonna whip into shit. Like they didn't. I didn't hear that at all, which was great. They were moving forward. They're saying this is our team, this is our coach now. We're focused on what we're doing right now, and it really seemed to work out. So I'm
Yeah.
interested to see. I'm not going to say I'm excited for next year because it's really difficult when they keep trying and actually admitting out loud that they're really just trying to do just enough to get to the playoffs. Um, I'm really tired of saying I'm excited to see what they're going to do next because I know it's not going to be. Even a report came out today that they're not going to go after the best players, the highest paid free agents. They're not even going to try, um, even though they're the best players. Like if they help you win, then you should have them at least try to get them on your team. But that's not going to happen. So, but I'm mostly interested in seeing what they're going to do with the coaching staff. If Dan's going to stay, I read something about how Edgar's probably not going to be the main hitting coach, but he'll be around. Um, so we'll see if that helps. But maybe again, it's just the approach. I read that they were doing a lot of analytic stuff with their at bats. They were looking for specific pitches in specific places, and they're just thinking too much. And when you have so little time to decide to swing or not, it might be too much, especially for guys who have been playing their entire career the same way and reacting to the ball the same way, and then all of a sudden you got a guy saying, "Oh, look for a, you know, up and in slider and swing at those only," or something like that. It's like you can't do that. I don't think it works. Maybe for other sports, but baseball is such a fast twitch environment that maybe that doesn't work as well. So I'm excited to see what they do with the team.
You just said you're
I'm
excited,
excited.
as am I.
I'm excited to see what they do with the coaching and if it works. Like, because honestly, that's what we need, right? Like, we had the best rotation in baseball by far. I mean, it was not an argument. 1-5, all of those guys dominating everybody. And if you had an average major league offense, we would have gone to the playoffs. I mean, easy. And they were the worst, literally the worst hitting team in the league for a long time. So like how can that happen? Like, it's just mind-boggling. So I guess I am excited to see if they can turn that part around, because if they fix that, I mean they really do have an actual chance.
Yeah, and this may be a road that not everyone wants to travel, but I'm kind of fascinated by the complaints and comments over the years of our batter's eye and the box itself. And maybe we can dive into that some other time. But I was elated to hear, for a change, in reverse, Victor Robles comes to Seattle within a week or two, says he loves it, he's comfortable here. and he signs an extension. What we've seen countless times in reverse, where they leave Seattle and do the same thing. I'm like, okay, maybe the tides are turning.
Right, yeah. And I honestly, I thought Victor was going to be like a fourth outfielder, pinch runner type, like, just guy to kind of back up the roster. Turns out he, I don't know, he found his niche, I guess. I don't know what happens, but he just flipped a switch. Maybe he decided he was playing for a team that actually had a chance and needed him, and that inspired him. I don't know, but whatever it was, it worked. And you're right, it doesn't happen very often. I haven't done the studies, but it probably goes that way. But somebody's making good decisions up there, because they brought him in. They brought Justin Turner in, who I thought was completely washed with the Jays this year. Ended up, hitting for his career, average in stats, which is really good on our roster. Like, we needed a veteran guy who can hold it together. By all reports, all the guys like him, and he's a leader in the clubhouse. So it'd be nice to have that guy back. But they brought him in. So they made some moves that worked, and they already had the pitching. Seems like they have defense mostly figured out. If they can fix that hitting problem, if Randy Rosarena can turn it around, because he has a potential. I know he does. He's been disappointing for a long time, but he can be better than he is. So if he gets a little inspired too, I mean, it could come together. We'll see.
Could not agree more.
All right. Let's do some breaker chat. How about let's talk about some cards. I mean, we're really at risk of becoming a Seattle Mariners podcast with the two of us. I'll have to try to not do that. All right. Is there anything you guys are looking forward to that's coming up?
I mean, it's like things are happening very quickly, where I was like, okay, we got update coming in a couple weeks, and so we'll get prepared for that. And then, like, we knew that Allen and Ginter was coming, but then it's just like, oh, here's the pre-order tomorrow, and it's coming out at the end of the month. And oh yeah, Cosmic Chrome is coming out next week too. So I was like more excited about Cosmic Chrome, with the illusion that I would be able to get some at the pre-order price. And now that doesn't seem like it's going to happen, I'm less excited about that. We'll see what happens on release day, but I'm still excited about Alan Gitter and update. I'm definitely in general a fan of the weirder stuff. I actually haven't. I've only been breaking I don't know. When did I start? 8 months or so? I want to say I started around February. Mm-hmm. So I haven't ripped Allen and Ginter yet. So but I'm excited to.
You mean you haven't sorted Allen and Ginter yet?
Yeah. Well, everyone was saying, how bad Pro Debut was, and it didn't end up terribly. Like, I just kind of, once you get in that flow state where you like don't need to check who has what and what the teams are, then it was pretty smooth sailing for like the second half. Obviously the beginning is tough when you're like, what team is this again? Who are they play for? Who had this team?
How much Pro Debut did you break?
I didn't do a ton, but I did one break that was 3 jumbos and 3 hobbies, and then I did 6 hobbies. So not a lot, but
that's a decent amount for Pro Debut if you're
well,
shipping all cards too.
Yeah. That's the key. I love when people don't take base. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because then you have just piles of base filling up whatever card storage area you have. But for sorting purposes, it's way easier. You just throw it in the pile. Don't have to worry about what team it goes to.
Yeah, big difference.
I had a blast with that. Outside of the sort, I had a blast with. I'd break more of it tomorrow if we didn't have other releases coming out and other stuff going on. But that product, for its price especially,
definitely
awesome.
Oh yeah, I mean, people we know last year were really happy with Pro Debut. They said it was the product of the year, and this year I think they came back with it and did the same thing. I mean, it looks great on the new design, on the 24 design.
Mm-hmm.
you'd think some of this minor league stuff would look weird, but it doesn't. It looks like a top shelf product that they can sell with the other stuff. It's a great price point because I think people are not into the, it's not Bowman level, and then the prospectors are not as into it because it's not worth quite as much. But it's a nice set, and there's some nice cards in there. I really want one of those Cornerstones autographs with the moon in the background.
Oh yeah,
I think that one is really cool. It's sciencey enough to be interesting to me, but not as absolutely crazy as Cosmic Chrome. So,
right.
and not as expensive. And I think they're on card too, on card
Yeah.
autos. So the other ones are not. I think the Chromes are on card, but the paper autos are not. So those are really cool. I've been looking for maybe a Colt Emerson. Yeah.
I have the willingness and desire of a true prospector, but like the pocketbook of a pro debuter. So I appreciate it, and I mean I'm stoked for Bowman draft in particular, and I will be breaking it for sure. But yeah, Bowman's expensive. There's
It's
no way
insane.
around that.
I mean,
fact, so.
I haven't done a ton of Bowman, and I don't plan to just because of the price point. I mean, it's too much. Like, the Bowman first obviously go for a decent amount, but just as time goes on, they just always dip. Especially like Bowman Chrome with the international guys and stuff. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with Pro Debut. Actually, not to rub dirt in the wound, but I did hit a Drew Jones Cornerstones when I had D-backs. It's my break luck has been so bad whenever I join, and of course, like Pro Debut, I go crazy. I had like Jones, I had a Christopher Torren gold, and like 2 other hits. So it was a fun break for sure. But unfortunately, I'm not a huge Drew Jones fan, so.
Well, it's nice to get something, right?
For sure.
Feels good. Joe, what are you looking forward to?
In the near future, update for sure. I mentioned Bowman draft. That's further out. It's a couple months probably, and of course, everybody wants me to probably shut up about it. But holiday products are always something I'm into, especially with the 24 design. I think it's going to be awesome. But in the near future, update, which is quite a reverse from last year's update, which I was not much of a fan of, just based on the checklist, of course. But I know we've already almost filled 2 breaks for update already, and more to follow, I'm sure. But I mean, what's not to love? We already know the design. Some of the inserts to me look pretty intriguing. As a holiday fan, there's even some blaster action with the Halloween parallels and stuff.
It's spookier than ever.
They're back, and I know they get hate, and all the different parallels we see out of all kinds of products, including the holiday ones, get all kinds of hate. But I'm just like, why not? Like we're doing something silly to begin with, and we're collecting little pieces of paper or cardboard. Pumpkin parallel, bring it on.
I mean,
I'm
it
all
doesn't
for it.
get
So.
much weirder than hot dog parallels. So
right. And yeah.
Right. And we don't all have to collect them all, obviously. Chasing a rainbow is that's quite an endeavor these days, but I say why not. So update for its silliness is cool, but obviously the checklist matters as well. But our Mariners, John, the checklist is not great, but I suppose there's some cool inserts in there. But for other teams, the Pirates, of course, and among others, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
so.
It's pretty bleak for us, but that'll save me some cash this this fall winter. We got Skeens and Jared Jones to look for. We got the Jacksons. We got Churio, Holiday, Merrill with their true rookie cards since their SPs were in Series 2. So there'll be a lot of those. I mean, they got autos, they got on-card autos, they got relics, they got all that stuff you're looking for. So lots of different teams with players to look for. So I think it's going to be really fun for a lot of people. I'm excited to do. I love doing retail for update and getting all those silly parallels. I don't know why, but I like it a lot. So I'm excited to get those and open some up, see what we get. I mean, we've had some pretty good luck this year. We've pulled at least one 4-figure card at the card club. So um, yeah, I really want to see what's in there, see if we can keep it up.
What card was that?
We got a Chrome Jason Dominguez auto out of 10.
Oh, I think I did see that one.
Yeah, and I think it ended up going for 2,600, 2,700 or something like that.
Damn.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Yeah. Surprisingly, one of the best ones that we got was just a Jackson Holiday refractor auto. It was like $4.99, numbered to $4.99. So when I pulled it, I was just like, "Oh, the Holiday, nice!" But I wasn't like super excited about it. And then we ended up selling it for like $420 or something like that. And so I was just like, "Oh, I guess that was our best pull of the night."
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, a lot of those cards did really well, and I think it helped really because I mean, maybe not Holiday as much. He came back and hit a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
Chorio and Merrill, the guys you didn't expect to do well, ended up doing much better than people thought they would, and their value went up too. So you had the guys that people were already collecting that already had high value, and Dominguez, who wasn't playing,
Mm-hmm.
and and uh, and Holiday, who was always had hype. So lots of stuff could pop up out of nowhere and get you your money's worth. So um, yeah, I'm interested to see what kind of SPs they're going to have in update. I was absolutely just floored by the Jackson Holiday Fun Face set,
Mm.
including the saw cut version, which is I thought was an absolutely brilliant move. They're not. I'm probably never going to get one, but they're a little too much for me. But I think it's super cool that they did that. So, be interesting to see if they have anything up their sleeve coming up here in a couple weeks.
Do we know the print run on the Sokka
I don't know. I
specifically?
could probably see if someone's tried to look for it. I don't think they had odds for those cards,
Yeah,
so I don't know if they'll be able to figure it
I
out. But it's
remember.
not a lot.
I remember trying to see if there was information on it, but I didn't see anything because, like you said, there's no odds, so there's no real way to determine the exact number. But yeah, Series 2 was pretty good. I got a fun face, like the base fun face, and I just got a base Holiday short print. So
Nice,
yeah,
excellent.
not too shabby.
I love opening those cards. That's one of the thing I think I like the most about breaking, other than getting cards to people who actually want them and the cards they
Mm-hmm.
actually want, is seeing all those cards, getting to open them, and actually like holding them in person, even if it's not mine. I mean,
Yeah,
90% of it is opening it up and getting that like, oh my god, look what
yeah,
we got, and having a bunch of people with you when you do it.
for sure. Yeah, I mean,
On a more general term for breaking in general, I agree with you 100%. And then also I love that we have such strong PCers.
Yes.
And I've said this before in our Discord, like there's nothing wrong with a flip. I flip. We probably all have flipped. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with chasing the rookie or whatever. We all do it, but it's a lot of fun when people are stoked to hit something outside of value, and they're just stoked because it's their PC team, it's their PC player. Let's not forget again, like this is supposed to be fun. Like we're not always going to hit the 5-figure or 4-figure cards or 5-figure cards for that matter. But there's a balance, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
I love the chase. Who doesn't? But I'd be stoked to get some of my favorite. My entire PC actually is of low value individually. But some of my favorite cards cost me next to nothing, and they mean like a lot.
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. Yeah, I agree, and it's I think it's really important to stay in tune with the stuff that you like and stuff that appeals with you without having to think too much about how much it's worth.
mm-hmm.
I think people would be a lot more happy with their collections that way. There's nothing wrong with investing. There's nothing wrong with prospecting. I do it the way you want to do it. But when I first got started a couple of years ago, somebody in a a Discord I was in said that if you're getting anxious or unhappy with your collecting, it probably has something to do with money. Like you're trying to make too much, or it's not going your way with the money, or you're spending too much, you need to cut back, or something like that. But it probably has something to do with the money. So if you stop worrying about money, usually you'll start having fun again. So that's worked for me a few times. Definitely fallen in that trap of getting caught up in something I don't really want to do and doesn't really make me happy, but it should be about making you happy. That's what a collection does. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with you 100%. And I would say, there are some teams where it's a lot easier than others to find that value. And obviously it's all cyclical. Like there are some teams that are going to be, like your Yankees and your Braves and stuff. They're always going to be solid and they're always going to be popular because they just have a ton of fans. And I'm fortunate that a lot of Diamondbacks cards do not cost a lot of money. So outside of Corbin Carroll, but even his prices are going down because of his first half slump. So I just picked up this high-tech Luis Gonzalez auto that's numbered to 50, and it's just like this weird, funky acetate card. But it's my first Luis Gonzalez auto, and I got it for $15 shipped. So it's just like you can't beat a auto of a guy who had 50+ homer season and won the World Series for your team. So
yeah, seriously. Yeah, I get super stoked for
That's
like the
beautiful.
Rays guy in our
Yeah.
breaks. It's like you get like Curtis Mead, and he's like, oh yeah, awesome. And it's like cool. I'm glad you get fired up about that because usually I have to give that team away. But
right.
yeah, so yeah, I 100% agree. It's great to have. I love having somebody for each team who's super interested in getting stuff that they like. So
We really need to find a Marlins person because they'll just clean up. Like I feel like every break the Marlins go crazy. I can't remember if it was our break battle or if it was another finest break, but the Marlins player literally had more hits than base cards from the break.
Yeah, I think somebody got a Dontrell Willis auto or something like that. Like, there's cool stuff in there. Doesn't want a D-Train auto. That's sweet.
Exactly.
Right on. Yeah.
I think
Let's talk about Allen and Ginter. I have mixed opinions, but you know what? My overall opinion about collecting is do what, like I said, do what you like, do what makes you happy. If weird cards make you happy, super cool. I'm not against that at all. I think they should make whatever people want, and put it out there because you don't have to buy it if you don't like it. So, but that being said, Allen Ginter 24, like you said, we knew it was coming. We didn't think it would be coming right when update was coming because it's kind of going crazy right now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, have you guys had a chance to look at the checklist?
I haven't dived too deep into it. We were chatting a little bit earlier. John and I were. Every release of Allen and Ginter or other products that have non-baseball stuff in it, I feel a little bit older because I recognize fewer of the non-baseball names, in particular the non-sport
Absolutely.
names. John threw some names out at me that you clearly recognized, and I was like, yeah, I don't know who that is. But I dig the baseball side of it, and I'm all for the weird, the weird stuff. I'm interested to know what that whole smell thing is about. We were joking.
Oh yeah,
like a scratch and sniff situation.
I think someone said that. I think that might be what it is. That would be nutty.
Yeah, it makes sense. So the insert set is called Got the Itch, right? So itch scratch, and all of the cards are named after things you'd want to smell, like apple, bacon, auto leather. Like what? How is that going in there when it's not something you can smell? Are they gonna what's gonna be hilarious is if you open up your first pack of ANG 24 and the first mini comes out and it's a Get the Itch card and it doesn't smell like anything. And so you have to just imagine what that would smell like and be like, yeah, it would
Yeah.
be great if it smelled like coconut in here. Okay, let's go. But it
Well, if
might
you're
be. I think if it's scratch and sniff, I think that would be awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're breaking it, you can't scratch it too hard. You don't want to mess up the card for whoever's got it. So we'll just have
Yeah.
to wait and see.
Yeah. And
The checklist baseball wise is incredible because this
yes.
rookie
Yeah.
class is
I
incredible.
mean, it's always
So
good
there's-
when you have a set like this and archives and stuff that like mixes in the Hall of Famers or like the retired legends for your team and stuff like that. Because it's always, I mean, for me personally, at least, like they don't always have a ton of value, like we were talking about. But it's just like when you're a fan of the team and you know, pull a Edgar Martinez card, you're like, oh, I love that guy. Like he is a stud, and so it's always cool. But it is
Absolutely.
funny, the Diamondbacks. There's like all these short prints. I'll just read out some names real quick, and then I'll read the Diamondbacks last. Uh, Rafael Palmeiro, Juan Gonzalez, Sandy Koufax, Edgar Martinez, Willie McCovey, Craig Biggio, Tony Oliva, Fred McGriff, Larry Walker, and D-backs have Jock Peterson. It's just like,
Apologies to Jock, but that is
yeah,
hilarious.
I love Jock, and like he's been awesome for them this season. But you have like all these legends of their respective teams, and then it's just Jock for the
Jock
D-backs.
Peterson over there in the corner by himself. That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
but I hope he re-signs with them. He's a stud. Going back to like the non-baseball cards, one of the reasons I have been so excited is because I'm super into the challenge on MTV. It's just like a reality show that is just like the ultimate mashup of like the real world and just like physical challenges where they have to like do all these crazy athletic things and like feats of strength and all these weird things, and they do physical eliminations against each other, and then they also have to live with each other for the duration of the show. So it's just like these insane personalities, and there's this one guy, CT, who's like a legend of the show, and I knew that he signed an autograph. He like had a Instagram post like months ago that he talked about signing cards for Topps, and I was just like, oh my god, he's 100% an Alan Ginter.
There's only one place he could be.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got some great names too. I mean, everybody's going to be happy. They got, we had Anthony Richardson last year, but we got Jaden Daniels, Caleb
Mhm.
Williams, Drake May. They're all got autographs on the minis.
Yeah.
So that's going to be huge for the football guys. That's going to bring a lot more value to those spots. We were talking about putting our breaks together and seeing what kind of non-baseball spots to offer, because
Mhm.
you really can have more than one. Like, I mean, you could really just make non-baseball athletes its own, because you got those football guys.
Yeah.
Then there's others that are sprinkled in there that might not be as popular, but they're in there. And then you got the rest of the non-baseball folks. There's a lot of good ones in there. We got some really good rappers this year.
Mhm.
The whole Boy Meets World cast has autographs. So I know from the Danielle Fishel card that came out this year in
Mhm.
Topps Now that there are a lot of dudes who are going to be into that. So
Yeah.
that's going to appeal to some people. Chuck Norris is in there, which
Yep.
is super awesome. John Daly is in there. And the only reason I know anything about John Daly is sitting bored at home on a Sunday watching TV at 1 o'clock. The only thing that's on is golf, and you want to see what the big fat guy's going to do. So
He's gonna grip it and rip it.
yeah, Daly's a legend. And Tim Robinson of I Think You Should Leave fame, if anybody is
Of
into that
course.
show, are going to be all over that auto. It's going to be great. And he has a movie coming out too, so it's going to be great cross promotion for him. People are going to love it. I hope I can grab one for a decent price because I know he's very popular. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. One other name I did not expect to see was this dude Shin Lim. I like randomly went down this like, you know, what's the show, like the Penn and Teller show where they try to trick him, like magicians, whatever. I can't remember what it's called, but
Mm-hmm.
this dude Shin Lim is like an insane magician. I would check him out on YouTube, and then I saw his name on here. It's just like, what the heck? They're just getting everybody.
That's
But
cool. It's cool that they can get that many different kinds of TV personalities, and it's not just like reality stars, which there are plenty of,
yeah,
and those kinds of people who you might not care as much about, but like it's interesting, and they pick interesting subjects, and I appreciate it. And it's not just stakes of the world or whatever, but like it's they can pick out interesting people. Um, One of the things I noticed on the checklist was a relic called a lineup card. I don't know if anybody saw that.
hmm
But I could see a design as a lineup card and be like, oh, here he is, and photo, whatever. But it actually being in the relic section makes me think, are they gonna have pieces of lineup cards that they were in, or what's going on there?
Yeah, I'm intrigued by that. And outside of baseball cards, I think lineup cards are probably the coolest piece of straight memorabilia. I guess baseball cards are not, but like from on-field stuff,
Yes,
that's intriguing. That
and it
could be
seems
really
I haven't
cool.
seen anything like that. Maybe I don't. I mean, I look at a lot of cards, but I haven't seen a lot of different types of relics. But that's one thing I haven't seen. So lineup cards, you're right. Lineup cards are really cool.
So, John, we did a break, or more accurately, you did a break of Ellen Ginter recently with a crazy amount of spots that went to all sorts of fun things. By design, chaotic, what types of animal and subtypes and all this stuff, right? I am curious though, how was the sword? You didn't have a lot; it was like a box and a half or something. But like, I want to know from beginning to end how
Yeah,
long that
so it's
sword took you.
actually still in process. Just a little bit about the break.
Are you having philosophical debates about like what constitutes a bird? Or
I like to run those auctions because I love talking and engaging with the people in the Discord, and when they're putting out bids and having little mini feuds with each other and like all that stuff. It's awesome. I love doing auctions. And so this was kind of an auction on steroids where I said, well, what would happen if we just let people bid on whatever they want? Um, will they be arguing over who gets the red birds in the set, or like what is going to happen? I have no idea. So I thought it would be cool. We laid some ground rules down, so it was only like with one exception, it's not like you can't have all relics or all autos or anything like that. You got to pick a specific person or a team or a thing or anything like that. But we ended up with, I don't know, I have to verify, but I think we ended up with like 70 different categories. Um, and yeah, so I was really dreading doing this, but it turned out to be not that bad. I got most of the baseball stuff done, and then the rest of it is maybe like, I don't know, 25-40% of it at the most. So for a box and a half, I mean, if I was doing a case, I would be losing my mind. But um, if you I kind of had a strategy going in, but it turned out the best way to do it, I think, was to kind of work backwards and say, let me grab the individual names, because there's definitely not going to be any arguments about who this is going to go to, right? So you
right.
get those bids, get those packed up. That'll take a lot of the pressure off. And then you got baseball teams, individual teams, because the only thing more specific than that is the players on the teams. So you can pack those up pretty easily as long as you get the players out. And then you can kind of get to the broader categories. So um, that kind of emerged. I was really just going to go down the list one by one and check them off and like say I picked these out, and then try to cross-reference them with the other ones, like the St. Louis Cardinals players with
Oh my
first
god.
names that start with the second half of the alphabet from M to Z. And so I definitely packed up the Cardinals and saw that one and was like, oh, gotta back that one out. But
Unreal.
yeah, that was a wild one. Um, we had a lot of good discussions about sandwiches and what constitutes a sandwich. And I think we decided that since people are fillings covered with a wrapping that were technically a burrito, which I thought was an interesting discussion.
I missed that discussion.
But yeah, we got some good ones. Somebody was really interested in the Vanderpump cast,
Yeah.
so they got a card out of there. We had people fighting over the fossils, which are super rare and probably wasn't going to be a problem, but someone wanted the dinosaur fossils, and then they had there was a saber-tooth tiger or something, and that one's not going to be in it. So there was a whole what are you actually going to get from this? And then we had the whole problem of well, what if somebody bids on a division, and then all the other teams have bids? Well, now that division bid doesn't mean anything. They're not going to get any cards, and so we had to keep really good track. I mean, kudos to Metsy for doing this, because if I would have had to take all the bids too, I would be just totally burnt. So major kudos to him for doing that. I don't know if we're ever going to do anything like this again, but it was a fun experiment, and this is a fun product to experiment with. So yeah.
Right now, I'm imagining a listener who is new to the hobby and doesn't know what Alan Ginter is, and they've just listened to us talk about it, and they're thinking we've just lost our minds. If you don't know what Alan Ginter is, go find a checklist from any given year. 2024's just came out, and it is, I don't know the percentage breakdown, but there's obviously baseball dominant, but there is everything else under the sun you can imagine, from celebrities to animals and inanimate objects and all kinds of stuff. I'm laughing to myself thinking about someone who doesn't know what this product is, and they're like, I thought I was going to listen about baseball cards, but
yeah.
It's a real.
I think my favorite one.
Inserts,
Yeah, I think my favorite one is they had musical instrument relics. So it was like a piece of a lute or something.
Wow.
And then on the back, instead of saying this is a genuine relic from game worn, whatever, it says this is not taken from any particular thing or place anywhere or something like that. Just to say well, this is a piece of something. We're not gonna get into detail about it, but it's pretty funny. I mean, what else can you say? But you definitely can't pinpoint where you got a fossil from. So at least that it's a fossil. But I would love one of those fossils, by the way. I'm a huge nerd, and they're gonna have raptors this year. So can't get the T-Rex.
I mean,
too expensive, but Velociraptor would be great.
Ankylosaurus is my dino.
Everybody's got a favorite.
That is one. Sorry, that is 1 in 58,327 hobby packs. So slightly rare.
Yes, and very expensive if you look them up. I've tried to look for deals, and they're not there. So, but very cool, super cool. I like that they're in cards. I like that you have an opportunity. Very creative. I'm into it. So, yeah, thumbs up.
In the vein of the old timey sets, Wax, I think you mentioned today that T206 presale is happening pretty quick here.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, you broke some of that last year. I broke literally one, they call them waves, one mini box from a wave of 2022. So I don't have a ton of experience, but these tobacco cards are pretty sweet, I think. And if I recall,
yes,
really
they're not that expensive. It's a little bit more of a specialty set. The boxes have fewer cards in them, but they're not as crazy high end as some of the other, boutique sets you can get. Nice cards. If you like older looking stuff or that kind of style, they're perfect. Usually the checklist is pretty good. Mix the legends in there. So we'll see. It's not my bag. We'll see if there's enough people around who want to open that type of product. It's also a fun mixer item because if it's not that expensive, it doesn't impact the total cost of the break that much. You can throw it in and have a little novelty in there, and then if you don't get anything amazing out of it, it's not as big of a deal, right? So I like having products like that where you can kind of pick something up and people are like, oh, I haven't opened that before, or they're intrigued and just want to try it out. That's fun to me too. I like being able to put stuff together like that. So we'll see where that goes. That stuff's usually available pretty easy to get too. So appreciate that.
I remember a while ago one of the websites had a bunch of 2023 still. available. So it's
Yeah.
seems like one of the few products that doesn't exponentially increase in price after release.
Yeah, let's you mentioned Cosmic Chrome. I had some stuff written down about it. I would have been a big fan of Cosmic Chrome, but every year it has been prohibitively expensive, which means this year it is so absurdly expensive.
Yeah.
Um, right now, you can pre-order a box of 24 Cosmic Chrome from one of the big stores for $419.99, which is absolutely bananas to me. Like there is no guaranteed autos. In fact, there are autos on average in 1 in 3 boxes. So for one
Wow.
auto, and I haven't looked at the checklist, but I guarantee you there's plenty in there that you don't want.
Yeah.
Uh, you're basically paying, $1,200, $1,300 to find one auto. So
That's
uh,
absurd.
that's crazy. It's not an auto product. They do have parallels if you like those. They have cool inserts always, but I mean, one box of Chrome for $420 is bonkers. I mean, so you can get a box of Topps Finest still, which I had a great time opening. I
Hmm.
mean, you had guaranteed autos, you had lots of color, you had different rarities, so that added an element to it. Some of those stars on the rare cards, even if they weren't parallels, were still valuable. People wanted them, so you can still pick a box of that up for $350, which sounds like a lot, but compared to $420 for Cosmic Chrome for some like weird nebula stuff going on in the background, and that's it. The only difference. Uh, I don't know. I might want to pick up a finest box actually. So yeah, it's a bummer, but it's really cool to watch people open it because it looks really cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, you pretty much said it all. Well, if somehow Topps sells it direct on release day for that's pre-order price, then I will do my best to get some, but barring that, it does not seem like it'll be an option to break. And it's the same thing. I mean, 2023 boxes are like 400 plus bucks, and it's just ridiculous. Like,
Yeah,
you can literally just buy, even if you want like a good player auto, like you can buy it for $100 max. Like,
yep.
there's just no reason to rip it at its current price. So
Yeah, I tried to go back and look and find out. I'm trying to make a list of how much all these products cost when they come out because that
mhm.
information is kind of hard to find.
Yeah,
And I went back and I looked at. I think you could get Cosmic Chroma pre-order for $290,
yeah,
which sounds like a lot, but it's much less than $420.
exactly.
Um, and at least this year, my experience paying very close attention to pre-orders and release day prices, trying to get good deals on boxes, is that they come out for $20, $30 more, maybe less than 10% of what the pre-order price was. So if they can come out with a 329 or
Hmm.
something, the fact that the big shops are selling them for $420 is not heartening, which makes you
Yeah,
think if they do put it on the website, it's going to be a lot more expensive. Um, I believe they used the new lottery system for that box when the pre-order came out, um, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. Like, are they going to make it immediately available on release day? Are they going to have another lottery? Like, what are they thinking about when they're doing this? Because it's going to be a lot harder to get pre-order stuff if you're going to be in the lottery. So, I
yeah,
have great success getting pre-orders when they come out. As long as you're in line and ready to go. The lottery is a whole different story. I think I'm 0 for 8 so far. I've been trying to grab every lottery I can. I haven't got one yet. So
dang.
that doesn't bode well for the value breaking community. So
Yeah.
um, that's another thing I would like to talk to. We've been going on and on for a while, but I would love to talk with you guys about why you break, which we touched on a little bit, and your break values, I guess I'll call them. Part of the reason I like to do this is to make products like Cosmic Chrome accessible for people who don't want to buy a whole box. They don't want 90% of what's in there, and
Right.
to help them get a piece of the action without having to spend all that money. So I'd love to talk to you guys about that and your philosophy, what you're trying to get for the people you break with, and maybe a little bit about where you want to go or what you want to do next. So that would be fun to talk about another time.
Sounds like a good teaser for the next episode.
I love that topic.
Yeah.
I got all
Yes.
kinds of thoughts.
Yes, we do. And there are plenty of people who have all kinds of thoughts about breakers, and we have lots of thoughts about that too. So love to talk to you guys about that, and love to talk to you guys today. Great to get together with you, and I would love to get another box battle together. So look for that in the future.
Yeah.
We'll get it
You
together.
piece of garbage.
You son of a gun. We'll take you down again. Whatever. Yeah.
Very intimidating.
That was super fun, though. I
It
love doing
was.
that, and I hope we do it again, and I hope we can make it a semi-regular thing because it was super cool to get everybody together on the same stream, and people from your Discord, people from our Discord, chatting and being able to do break two things at the same time and see what's going on. I thought it was super cool. So
Yeah, the split screen was awesome.
yeah,
And
split screen was great.
it was hilarious. Like,
Well done on the
Yeah.
logistics of that too.
yeah, I'm glad it worked out well. And it was hilarious. Like, when we first opened it up, there was one dude in one of my chats who's just like, "We gotta help Pierce in the break battle now, like, sign up." And it was just like everybody just started signing up. I was like, whoa. It's not that serious, guys. But
Competitive people, man.
yeah, it was
Get them
awesome.
fired up. Hey,
It
it's
was-
all about coming up with new and interesting and creative ways to make this more exciting and not just dumping money into a box. So
Yes,
another thing I love to do.
I'm all about it.
All right, thanks guys. Getting a little late, so I'm going to cut out, and I hope you guys have a good evening, and I'm excited to hit this crazy release window up with you guys and see what happens.
Absolutely. Right back at you too. This was a pleasure, and now I'm stoked for the next one.
Thank you very much. We'll talk soon.
All right, later.
Good night.